What's going on, guys? Just throwing together a quick recap video of the day's price action. Pretty much just making this video so Apex can get some sleep tonight because he's been fucking freaking out all day in the Discord, as he does every single day. So, no, I'm just kidding. Anyways, jumping into SPY, and we'll start with, the basics of what we're looking at right here. Very simply, from this low that you have here, we're forming higher highs and higher lows. Higher highs, higher lows. You have a downtrend since January 2022. Downtrend, descending broadening wedge. Recently broke out of it to the upside, tested it again, confirmed the test, and found a bounce off. And today we came very close to crossing the local highs at 418.30. When we do, we are going to see some serious movement on SPY, in my opinion. I mentioned before, this is a diamond bottom here. I'm not even going to bother drawing the trend lines. It's there. It's the diamond bottom. Very symmetrical move as well. This would be the middle. And you have one cup on the left, one cup on the right, another cup on the right, another cup on the right, and we're sitting right here. When SPY does cross 418, you could maybe expect it to see 450 relatively fast. I think that's two daily candles. 450 to 425 in 2 days. So you could expect when SPY gets into crosses the local highs here at 418 and gets into like the 420s, toke up, it's going to start flying to the upside, which we're already expecting anyway. And let me find it. The bars pattern is somewhere in here. I think that's it. Yeah. Shout out Babs. He was the one who put me onto this. This is the bars pulled from 97 to 99 on SPY, and the movement is legitimately perfect. Tracking perfectly. You can pause and go along if you want and see the movement yourself. It's there. This right here would be our all-time high on SPY, which would be 480, and then you have the channel downward, and we have the channel downward right here as well. And then you break the channel to the upside, and then you find some new highs. That's what we're expecting for SPY, and it already broke out and is heading up that way. So overall, SPY is very bullish. Anyone saying otherwise is fucking lost. Also, golden cross on the daily looks very good. Golden cross on the daily on SPY is a very, very bullish indicator. You can look up the historical price action every time SPY has seen a bullish cross. Golden cross. The data is there. It's always followed by some serious upside. So that's pretty much that. Overall, SPY looks great, and that's pretty much it for the chart. I showed this last time as well. You have this pattern that played out before the squeeze on AMC in January. You have this W. This is like the shelf over here. It's cut off on this side, but it's there. I promise it's there. I showed you in the last video. You come back up, and then you form another W, a lower W with a crazy wick, and you have the same thing right here. Another W, there's the wick. Come back up to resistance, reject it, come back down one more time, form a higher low, come back down one more time, form a higher low, and then you break through resistance and find this channel and spend some time in this channel, and spent a very long time in this channel. You break below it, you reclaim it. Every time you break below, you reclaim this channel. I mentioned that as well. And then this first dip below was around the time AMC squeezed in January of 2021, which looks really good because along with this, the rest of the tracking that we have is saying that we're about to squeeze. So it looks good. It looks very bullish. Jumping into, let me move myself out of the way. Excuse me. All right. We're going to take a different look at the macro. We're going to look at the macro from a different perspective. And this is my thesis from when I first made YouTube, my YouTube channel, my original thesis. I backtracked yesterday, just looking for stuff, confirmation to see how this was playing out, and it's playing out perfectly. I don't know why I haven't been tracking it. I've just been tracking on the micro, the daily, but this looks very good. I really don't want to go over this again. I've gone over it in my videos. You know what? Fuck it. All right, so purple, red, and green box right here is the equivalent to the purple, red, and green box right here. This was flat the entire time. This is playing out in a descending fashion. So the bars up here are taken from this right here, and it's overlaid on top, and the price action is legitimately perfect. I'm just going to go over these two boxes right here. You come down and bounce up, come down and bounce up, continue down, continue down. You get this crazy W thing here. Same thing here. You get this crazy W, and then you find your way to the top. Same exact thing here. Into the red, you come down, you have a shelf, you come down, you have a shelf, you come the rest of the way down, as you do right here. Lowest wick right here, same thing right here. And then you have some chop here, you have a wick up, the highest wick right there. And then from there you form this cup, as you do here. And then you come down one more time, and then up to the top. So you have this cup, you come down one more time, up to the top. And then this green, this W here. So as this was playing out, originally I thought it was off a little bit, and that's just because I thought we were in the wrong spot originally. So looking at this again and looking at it closer when there's more price action now, this makes a lot more sense. And you have, it's a W. It's just a very big W that you have here. You have this 3 peak thing in the middle, which you have here, and it's a W on both sides, right when you flatten out at the end here. Just the same way you did back here. You flatten out here at the end, and you have a lower low on the right, as you do here. And that's pretty much that. I'm going to show you now with this, with, fuck out of here. I marked them so you could see little highlighter dots. Come down, bounce up, come down, bounce up, continue down. A lot of chop here. Probably where I got confused, because there was a lot of price action here that didn't really make much sense, but it does now. This red dot here, if you find the bottom here, you bounce up, as you do here, and then you come down into the W sequence. You come down, first bottom right there, same thing right here, bounce up. This would be the first peak of the tri-peak in the middle. Then you come down one more time, and then you come up to the blue, and that would be this right here. This little pop right here would be this candle right here. I know it looks crazy. The resistance and support of both cycles is a little bit different, but it's the same thing. This spike right here is this candle right here. It looks better on the candles rather than looking at it like with the bars, but that's what it is. This would be the yellow peak that you have here. This would be the blue peak you have here. You come down, bounce up, come down, bounce up right there, and then that's pretty much it. You come down to the bottom here. This should have been the bottom. I mentioned this in the last video. This red dot here should have been our bottom. It didn't end up being the bottom. I gave you my theory on why that was the case. But since this gap fill at 405, I've been tracking the current price action to the pre-January 2021 squeeze when it bottomed right here. I've been tracking this gap fill at 405. I started tracking right here, and it tracked perfectly the entire time. This ended up being this was supposed to be the V, the V of January 15th, where you kind of knife end of day. It didn't end up being end of day. It was after hours and very, very exaggerated. Makes sense in the grand scheme. Like I said last time, it gave us the lower low that we needed, although it was after hours, but still we got the lower low. And then this would be your January 22nd flag sequence, which would be where we are now. So it looks amazing. Like legitimately, everything is saying we're about to squeeze. I have no reason to believe we're not. Everything looks fucking fantastic. That's pretty much it with that. I threw this together really quick. Daily charts on both sides. This is the January squeeze, and this is present day. The EMAs are pretty much perfect in every way. I mean, you have the 20 down here, crosses the 50, and then comes back down. And then towards the end here, you cross the 50 again. That's right when you're squeezing. You have the same exact thing here. The 20's under the 50 the whole time. Crosses it, comes back below, and now it's curling up to the 50 again. Once the 20 crosses the 50 here, that was the squeeze. And it's almost touching. Very, very close. And then you have your 200 hitting the third peak, or right in the middle of the 3 peaks. It comes right through that. Same thing right here. And then right above us right now, you have your rejection off the 100 EMA here. Same thing here. Retrace down to the 20. Same thing here. and then you pop back up to the 100 EMA, pop through it, come down a little bit, close above. Same exact thing today. What are we expecting next? A gap to the 200 EMA. I'm not saying the gap has to be tomorrow. I'm going to show you why. But that is the next thing we're expecting. We got the close above the 100 EMA. As far as tracking, this is where we are, and the EMAs is just even more confirmation. The tracking alone is saying we're in the January 22nd flag sequence as it is. So when you pull up the daily chart and the EMA it's perfect. It's right there. Closed right above the 100 EMA today. Next thing we're looking for is a gap to the 200. I'm going to show you why it does not have to be tomorrow really quick. And this is the tracking that I've had for the January 22nd flag sequence. I showed you guys this in the last video. I don't even know why I'm making a video today. It's really unnecessary, but I'm just throwing together a quick video. Here's the sequence here, the gap up from the knife in the January 15th knife. Same thing here, the gap up. You find your top, and then you have this descending trend line here, resistance, same thing here. Breakout, gap down, breakout, gap down, fill the gap, test one more time, and then you form this uptrend. Same exact thing here, and I'm still looking for the cross of 575. I want to break the high of this range. This is the reason I think we might not gap up tomorrow, is because we have not crossed this high yet, and just on the basis of my tracking, we aren't at this point yet. Right here, this is the rest of the price action. You cross the high of this range, and then you bounce off of it, form a W type thing, and then close the day right here, gap up the next day. I think we're going to get the rest of this tomorrow. Honestly, if I had to guess, I would say we aren't going to gap up tomorrow. I would say more than likely we're going to get the rest of this price action tomorrow. So that's pretty much that. Zoomed in now. I've shown you guys this a million times too. I didn't bother putting the boxes. There's really no point. I would say we're probably somewhere right here. This double top right here. You know how we got a double top today? Probably somewhere in these candles right here. We broke this range already. We broke the range today, came retested, and we broke out of it again. So we're clearly not in this range. We're somewhere in these candles now. Double top here, that's probably where we are. So going back to that, this double top that you get right here. Oh, no, it's right here, actually. You can actually see it. You have a high candle, you come down, and then at the end, you have a candle higher than this one. We actually have the same exact thing today, too. You have a high candle, a lower candle right there, and then we broke the high of the day, end of day today. So you could probably say we're in this little range right here. And it actually matches up too. I have trend lines going across here, horizontal trend lines. The high of the range at 575 and the high of the range here. We're almost at the high of the range. And back here, this little peak right here, you're almost at the high of the range, but you're not quite there yet. It's very possible tomorrow we don't gap up and we get the rest of this price action. That would be another green day, another green candle most likely, since we're not going to gap, and another close over the 100 EMA. This is what I'm looking for before we gap. I want to get the rest of this price action. I want to test on 575. Maybe you wick a little bit below it, just the same way here. Maybe you wick to like 550 again. So you break out, come to like 6.3, 6.5-ish, come back down to 5.5 to test, and then you double top, come down one more time, close the day there, and then gap up the next day. I'm looking for the rest of this price action before I could say, yes, we're gapping up tomorrow. So that's pretty much it. I've been tracking the macro too, but the micro for a while now, since the gap fill of 405, since before that, tracking micro, this isn't going to just randomly gap up, in my opinion. I haven't seen it do that. I haven't really seen deviation to that effect where, the close above the EMA looks good, but am I going to be like, oh, because we closed over the 100 EMA January 22nd, the next day was a gap, so we have to gap tomorrow. I'm not going to say that because we didn't get the rest of this price action yet. And, fractals be fractaling. So we're going to get the rest of this price action, in my opinion. We'll probably see $6 tomorrow. But then we're going to come back down to test on the high of the range, probably wick below it to like the 550s, come back up, double top, close the day somewhere there, and then Wednesday would be the gap. Gap up to the 200 EMA. around $7. And then from there, who the fuck knows? Who the fuck knows? Honestly, I'm not gonna just start like talking out of my ass because I really don't know. So ignore the trend lines because I'm on the daily without extended hours, obviously. So they're going to be messed up a little bit. Back here, it was one close over the 100 EMA. And then the next day you gap up over the 200. The next day after that you gap up again. And then it was the peak. So in my opinion, what happens tomorrow is we have another green candle up until like the 6.3, 6.5 range possibly. Test on 5.5. Or 5.75, whatever, and then close the day probably around $6, and then Wednesday would be the gap up to the 200 around 7. And do we get another gap candle after the first gap on Wednesday? I don't know. It could just be tomorrow we get that green day, close over the 100 again. Wednesday we gap over the 200, and then from there you could get the second gap and then peak, or it could look very different. I mean, once we get the fractal break, it could play out very differently than how it happened last time. I mean, this is the 4 hour with extended, the 4 hour with extended, extended hours chart. Once you broke out of the macro back here, you literally just gap up, play this W, and then that's it. Just fucking take off. We broke out. It's possible we gap tomorrow. It's also possible we don't. So I'm not going to say for sure that we're going to gap up tomorrow. Hopefully we do. If we don't, it's going to be a green day regardless. I mean, just from what I'm showing you here, like, holy shit. It's legitimately, it's perfect. Just in a descending fashion. Flatten out at the end. This is your first bottom right here, your second bottom right here, and we broke out of the macro resistance. Just the same way you do right here. Break out, gap up, squeeze. Here's your double bottom. 1, 2, lower low on the right. Got the lower low we needed. There's no more downside, in my opinion. That's it. So it's just a matter of how the squeeze plays out now is the question. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. So it's possible this fractal break is going to be fucking bizarre. Maybe we just gap up to the 200 tomorrow. Who the fuck knows? Maybe we gap up to the 200 and that's it. We just fucking take off from there and you just get the fucking rocket to 140. I don't know. We have to see how it plays out. But it looks good in every way. Between SPY, the daily EMAs, the macro, whichever macro you're using, it looks good. And just as far as touch points on this macro here, worst case scenario, we're in the January 15th sequence, which that would put the peak back a little bit, but we're still expecting upside anyway. You have no downside to worry about. We're not in the January 15th sequence. I'm just throwing that out there. We're not there. I'm just saying worst case scenario because we already got the lower low. We're somewhere in here. According to the tracking, we're here in the January 22nd flag sequence. The EMAs are saying that. The tracking is saying that. SPY is saying that. We're about to squeeze. So the 250 argument off the table, not fucking happening. Any more downside at all, in my opinion, off the table, not happening. It's just a matter of how we squeeze now. But everything looks fucking great. So I'm really not worried at all. And that's pretty much it. It's just a matter of how this plays out. There's really nothing to worry about. After hours looking pretty solid so far. That's it. That's pretty much it for the video. Hopefully Ape gets some sleep tonight. And we'll fucking do it again tomorrow, boys. Let's fucking go. We're squeezing. We're about to be rich. Let's fucking get it. Seriously, we're there. We're there. The next fucking move we're getting, that first gap, once we see that serious fucking gap up to like the 200 EMA, it's on. You guys know what time it is once we get that gap. So that's what we're looking for. It's possible we get it tomorrow. If we don't get it tomorrow, don't be surprised. because it should be a green day regardless. We should at least see $6 tomorrow, in my opinion. If not, just gap up to the 200, and then we're squeezing from there. So that's pretty much it for the video. I'll catch you guys later.